So this is a really screwed up story that people are just now starting to talk about. It's starting to make a couple of headlines, but it's not making near enough, because apparently 215 bodies were found buried behind a police station in Jackson, Mississippi. And we would have never knew it was there if it wasn't for Betterston Wade, who last March reported that her son Dexter was missing. They had got into an argument. I think it was March 5th is when they got into the argument, and he left home. He hadn't been seen. She waits till March 14th. She files a missing persons report. Then she continues to contact the police and say, hey, have you found any leads? Have you found any clues? Is he out there anywhere? The police keep saying no. They've got no leads on where he's at. And then 8 months later, the police reaches out to Miss Wade to tell her that Dexter was hit by a police cruiser and they buried him in a pauper's grave. He had his ID on him. He had his ID in his front pocket, which I find to be a little bit odd that the ID would be in the front pocket. I've always carried mine in my back pocket. But he's got his ID in his front pocket. They ID the body. There's a missing persons report out there for him. And instead of reaching out to his mother and saying, this is what happened, they just put him in a plastic bag and buried him in a pauper's field. Now, the Jackson, Mississippi police have said that they called this an unfortunate accident, and they found no malicious intent by anyone on the Jackson police staff. No malicious intent. A guy was hit by a police cruiser. They identified him. He's a guy who had been reported missing. And they took him out and buried him and never told his mother. And now they're wanting to charge the mother $250. I think she did. She paid $250 to have him removed so that she could properly bury her son. And there's 215 people there that they found now. None of these people's families were ever notified that they were being buried there. And now they're asking these families to pay $250 to have them removed. And that's a real story in 2024. That's happening now. Why aren't more people talking about this? I'll be honest, it took me a couple of days to wrap my head around it to where I could even say anything. Because how does this happen? How does this happen? I mean, when I first saw the first video clip where someone was talking about it, I didn't finish the clip because I really thought they were talking about something that might have happened back in the 1800s. Like, you know, pre-Civil War era or something. I thought, okay, this is some old story that they're just now discovering. No, this is happening now. And there's not much outrage at all. There's a couple of people talking about it. A couple of people are very outraged, but it's not near the headline that it should be. And that makes me ask myself, why? Why is this not making more headlines? Is it going to take it becoming a Netflix documentary before we give a shit? Is it going to take it being, you know, is it going to have to come on Max before we tune in and watch it? I mean, I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of, you know, me and my friends pass around documentaries with each other all the time. But is that what it's going to take before anyone gives a shit about this story? There's people that needs to be held accountable for this. There's people that needs to answer some really serious questions about this. And another question, have we just became so desensitized over the years that we just hear stories like this and shrug them off? We hear stories every day, and they get more and more outrageous, and after a while, we just kind of start to be numb to the whole thing. And we say to ourselves, well, there's another crazy story. I knew going into 2024, I was like, yeah, the news is going to keep getting crazier, but I had no idea this story would be out there. And while we're all busy, you know, it's an election year, so of course we're going to be talking politics. We're going to be talking Trump and Biden all year long. But while we've been sitting here having that argument and having that discussion, this has been happening. And it's just now starting to see the light of day. It's a story that's just now starting to be talked about, and we need to be talking about it more. I know I'm definitely going to be reading more into it and trying to develop a better understanding of it. But yeah, in 2024, this is a story, and it's not one that we should sweep under the rug. It's not one that we should wait for the documentary or the movie to come out. Let's not worry about who's going to play Dexter in the movie. Okay, let's get to the bottom of this, and let's hold some people accountable, because, folks, there's no nice way to say this. This is super fucked up.